or even irresponsible to talk about a spring for women within this context. And I want to go back to, I want to finish with something that was really compelling, and it was perhaps the only feminist statement that I've heard on the first panel with the current foreign minister of Peru, and he actually framed the key point of what is democracy, and he said, if the translation was right, the democratization of private life, the democratization of gender relations between women and men. So perhaps we shouldn't be kidding ourselves that we could even contemplate any form of democracy if private life, if life within in the household is not democratic. I think I should and then come back to the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Lina, and I think it's a good start to remind us that history is a deep process of struggles, and understanding where we are can only be possible by understanding these past struggles. And you have termed the post-Arab Spring as a war on women, which I think we would agree here. But the good news is that history, this is not the end of history. We are still, history is still in the making, and I think Arab women have enough of civil autonomous history that this will not be submitted to very easily. The sad news, of course, is that the world order today is less promising than it was in the 80s when human rights, democracy were rising values, whereas today national security paradigm is holding tight. And I wouldn't be surprised if the big brothers of the world would be ready to compromise on women's rights for the sake of security. So, having said that, let's move on to Asma Kader from Jordan. And Asma, could you please introduce yourself for your subject?
Good morning. I'm Asma Khadr. I'm the Sisterhood Global Institute Jordan General Coordinator and a partner of WLP, and I'm a lawyer in profession. I'm not going to repeat the analyses that we listened from Yakin and Lina. It's very clear that the situation is too complicated, very threatening, but also it is promising. As women today is not women in the region. Women today are not the same women in the previous decades. They are more educated, they are more in the economic life, and they are more aware of their rights. And the work that has been done by the women movement, human rights movement, democracy movement, social movement in the region left really leaders of local communities who are not going to just accept what's going on. We need to realize that there was, the last few decades, kind of a coalition, hidden coalition between the religious political groups and the current regimes, the regimes that were ruling the states in our region, and that was also part of the international policies for the region. And we need also to realize that the movement, women movement, were developing all the time from being a charitable kind of organizations which want to just help the poor or do some social work, and it developed to be a demanding organizations claiming rights, and then to be a more civil organizations, and then now they are part of the movements towards contributing effectively to the development on all aspects, on political, economic, cultural, and civil rights and situations. Of course, all the very complicated type of relation on national, regional, and international levels, despite of being political, security, or economic, will affect this movement. But the people who started in the beginning in Tunisia, Egypt, in Libya, in Syria, were not the organized political Islamic groups. They were the angry, young, unemployed victims of human rights violations figures. And they initiated the movement, but then it was occupied or kidnapped by the well-organized, empowered political Islamic groups, mainly, who continue to receive a great support from states in the region and from the international community. So it is understood why this is happening in the region. But what we can rely on is not just describe what is the situation. What is needed now is how we are going to be effective in shaping the current politics and the future. And this question is the real one on first the whole movement of democracy, the democratic groups, which I still believe that women's rights are not on their agenda. It's not a priority. In spite of being democratic groups or human rights groups even, all those powers who have a real interest in supporting women and cooperating with women, because women are half of the population in each society. They are not realizing yet the importance of being really close to women movement and supporting women movement and gaining from women as individual citizens and political figures in their societies who can really contribute to the boxes of elections, but also beyond that to build the democracy in these societies. It's very well known that fighting corruptions, for example, and less corrupted groups are female politicians and female groups. This is a fact that is recognized by many. Of course, talking about the contribution of women, well, everybody is really aware of what women are contributing to their families and societies. The problem is women until now are not organized politically. They are active in different aspects. They are well educated. They are not strong members in political parties and in politics. This was due to the legal frameworks that usually forbidden civil society from being part of the political activism. Now I think one of the strategies is to encourage women to be active political citizens. This is one point. Maybe we can start with the local governance, municipal councils, local NGOs, but it has to grow to come out from the grassroots up, because we examine some initiatives by many regimes, like Suzanne Mubarak and Zain al-Abidin, or any of those leaders who really appointed women to positions, and they gave some space for women to be in the high level of politics. But it was not a mass movement. Women at large, women at the grassroots level were not really encouraged to be part of the political life. And that's why the Islamists who used to work on the grassroots level and organize people were able to get these percentages in the boxes of elections, because they used to work with the grassroots and serve them and organize them and work with them, so they found them when the time came and the elections happened. What we need now is to work on the grassroots level and to be engaged with not only women's rights activities, without forgetting the need to struggle and to make sure that women's rights are respected, but also to be involved in the environmental, in human rights, in politics, in the democratic civil movement, workers' movement, trade unions, whatever social structures exist, women need to be there, and women need to contribute to the public issues and not only to the women issues, as all public issues are women issues. This is very important to be recognized. They used, even the Islamists, they are using women, and they are creating a women committee within the party, a woman branch within I don't know what, asking for a more women organization for social services. But they don't see women in sciences, in economics, in agriculture, in negotiations, in peace building, in creating and drafting the constitutions, in the serious work. So they used to recognize women, but they recognize them as a bulk of people who have to be in isolation, taking some space for themselves and not being involved in the other issues. I think we fall in this trap for a period of time. And I do believe that one strategy is to recognize that we need to be everywhere and in all levels, in all aspects. The second thing is the religious and secularism. The problem in the region is that all other groups, political groups, in spite of being nationalist, liberalist or Democrats, left, middle, I don't know, all of them are really not clear in claiming a secular state. Even women movement. The women movement is not really clear on the demand of having a secular state to be able to allow freedom of religion. And I think the religion as part of human rights should be guaranteed for every person, despite of the religion is the religion of the majority of people or the minority of people. In the region there is a wide range of different religions and different races and different sectors. The problem is that the majority thing, which is happened to be the Islamist majority in these countries, they think that every individual person in the country needs to follow the rules that they think is the right ones. And it is their own interpretation always. That's why we have in the region a different type of Islam. We have the Islam of Iran, we have the Islam of Turkey, we have the Islam of Syria, of Saudi Arabia, of Bahrain, of Tunisia, of Morocco. Each one of them is different. Even when it comes to the personal status laws or family laws that is based on the Islamic Sharia in all these countries, you can find texts that are 100% different. Polygamy, for example, is totally accepted in Saudi Arabia without any restrictions, any conditions, and it is forbidden totally in Tunisia, for example. And both of them are saying our law is based on Islam. So the human interpretation of the religion, especially when the religion became a political tool, used by the political groups to rule the country, and especially with the majority of the of people who are really real believers in the religion. It's easy that they become threatened by saying, for example, in Egypt it happened that they said if you didn't vote for the Islamic party, then you have to go. You are going to be in the hell, and God will be angry because you have to vote to us if you are a good Muslim. So for the people who are really illiterate, who are poor, who don't know, they really feel that this is a serious thing, and they vote for them. So I think it's very important for us to adopt clearly that we are for a secular states. It's important in this time to focus on the shaping of constitutions. And it is, everybody knows that constitution text is a text that is very hard to change. If it is adopted now in a specific way, then it's going to take decades until you become able to change it. So I think the time now is for, even in the countries where we have revolutions and changing regimes, or in the countries where there was reforms smoothly politically happen in some other countries like Morocco, Jordan, and some other countries. Both of them witnessed processes to redrafting and amending or putting in new constitutions. The problem is that women are not represented enough. The voice of women and human rights and civil society and social movements were very low in these negotiations. And I think the risk now is that we will have constitutions that are conservative, traditional, and recognizing religious, Islamic Sharia and religious as the main or only resource of legislation, which will lead to the religious people to continue trying to control women's lives and rights and the society behaviors, especially related to cultural and social and family lives, which will, of course, I totally agree that democratization should start from the individual behaviors, the family relation, and up to the ruling and powers of the state. I will finish by saying that what is needed is more solidarity within the like-minded, common interests, common ground people around the world. The democratic groups, women movement, social movements need to realize